Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And in last week's video, we actually discussed the system design of our recipe app. Everything from core functionality to scaling consideration. This week, we're pushing further and we're actually going to implement the UI using Flutter. So let's bring the app's look and feel to life considering the design considerations we talked about last time. As usual, this won't be a step-by-step tutorial, but if you're curious in seeing how the app comes to life, stick around, and if you want to follow along with the code, I've linked it in the description below. So let's get started. Alright, so now that we're on my computer over here, let's quickly touch again on the UI that we covered last time. But essentially, this is what we will be implementing. On the left side, you can see sort of the home page. Up here, we have a couple of featured recipes that we can scroll through horizontally. And then down here, we have some popular recipes at the bottom that we can also scroll through when we move up the screen. If we click on one of those recipes, we will actually get into the more detailed view with a nice picture on top, a name, and then probably something like cook time and ingredients under it, as well as what cooking procedure we have to follow. We're going to ignore the right side because this is considered a food delivery app, and we're not going to worry about deliveries. So with that, let's get started by pulling up Flutter. I have pulled it up right here. You can see the demo app is still available and trackable, but with that in mind, of course, we want to start out building the home page. Probably have this top horizontal and list view together, and then we're going to regroup. Alright, so if we jump back in, we can take a quick peek and a rough idea of what the homepage is going to look like right now. So basically, if we take an image look out here, we wanted to have recipes on top, as well as a horizontal slider, and then once scroll up and down the page with the items as well. So if we jump into the code and within our app here, you can see we have the recipes on top. We are able to slide horizontally right now, and we're also able to slide vertically to get to more recipes. Now obviously this is just a placeholder for now, but it gets the point across. As the next piece, I would like to have this infinitely scroll so that it kind of loops back around, maybe some indicators. Basically the way it is out here, that it has indicators. I know this is showing on the second page, so I'm not sure if this is infinite scroll, but it would be nice if we could just like loop around. I've never done this before, so I took a quick search and I came across this nice plugin called Carousel Slider, which I think will give us what we need, because if we take a look at this example out here, it essentially shows like image scrolls sliding, and it has these indicators on the bottom, and hopefully we can get that to an infinite scrolling option. It may or may not auto scroll, but this is what we're probably after. So I will try to get this slider here implemented next, and then we will regroup in a couple minutes. Welcome back. So after the quick implementation here, I was able to get the carousel here working, and we can see all these different pictures that I somewhat stole from Food Network out here. These are some recipes I simply pulled up, and I think we'll use those as demos within the app just to get the point across. But anyone else, like within a network, and if you're building this out, you would probably have like an S3 bucket, and then someone would toss in their actual images of the recipe that was created, and those get uploaded and pulled from there instead. However, since we're not working on the backend right now, but rather the front-end application here, I decided just to take some pictures of the internet, toss them in as samples, and then have those recipes implemented. So if we take a look, those are these various recipes out here, and so that is what we're going to be using. And then, like I said before, there was this nice carousel item, which is basically a plugin for us, the carousel slider. It comes from pub.dev. This is pretty standard when you use Flutter. And the way to do this is if you go back into here, and there's a pub specs.yaml, and here you can actually import all of those libraries quite easily. You just get those with pub-get, and then you can start using it. Similarly for the assets, we had to uncomment assets and then the image folder where I had put those so that we don't have to import image by image by image, which is possible. Like I said before though, if we have it on like a bucket or something, then we would be pulling those differently. So if we take a look real quick on the code perspective, here we have those images defined that we're pulling in. And then we also have our carousel stuff up here, which is basically this piece of a map, and then it has this clip react, which is the outside container, and then it contains all the other stuff like the image itself, as well as like the text of what that recipe is. So if we take a quick peek on here, like I said before, we have that image, which is this part up here, and then we have the text prominent, which is this bottom piece down here. Obviously there's more things to think about, because when we have the penna, for instance, at the bottom here, with this kind of hard to read. However, on other images is fine. So maybe that means, in the future you would want to add some sort of background here a little bit so that it is more readable on the various images, but I kept it as such for now. Something else to note here is like whenever this rotates, it will move the dot along the way, and it will also be able to flip back to the front, which is also real nice because then we don't have to go all the way back within our slider. Similarly, if we just want to navigate to, let's say, the front now because we're on the fourth, then we can click down here as well and kind of navigate and jump around. This is all possible within here, easily doable. So that's what we have for now. The other pieces to look at is probably now to implement this bottom list, which at the moment is simply a card container, and then have another image out here of the recipes. I will be using the same recipes down at the bottom as well as at the top, but you could think about like the bottom piece being more of like something from a cache or something that's popular in the area, or even the favorites. Maybe those at the bottom are my favorites, and at the top are something that's popular in the area. Or we have featured recipes on top and there are seasonal or something like that. So there's various ways to implement this, but because this is more of like focusing getting the point across and a simple UI implemented, I'm not going to be focusing on these differences at the moment. So let me go and try to get the cards sort of working, that they somewhat look like this here at the bottom. We can see we have an image on the left, as well as the name, a short description underneath of it. And I don't know if I will be putting this piece on the bottom. It probably, if we think about a resume, would be like timing, which by itself probably looks a little bit odd. I don't know, maybe calories would be nice, but I doubt that we have that within here. But yeah, maybe it could be something like level, timing, and then how many servings it is. Something we could try, but I'm not gonna be worried over this at the moment. It's mostly just, like I said before, getting the point across with the image, the title, and then maybe a subtitle. So that's what I will be working on next, and I will catch you in a few seconds. Now that I had some time to implement the bottom list, let's go over on what it looks like. So earlier up here we had already this carousel, and before I get into the bottom list, I did end up adding a light box shadow here at the bottom. So if we go up in main and take a look at this, this is the box decoration that needed to be added so that our meal could be, the name of the meal could be read on all pages. Because before, if we go ahead and comment this out again, reload it, you will see that on some lighter pictures we cannot necessarily read that name. So I decided to just give it a shot real quick and update it so it's easier readable, and all of it up here still works as expected. Down here in the popular items section, I was also able to get a card implemented within an image, have the name and a light description, as well as the items. Is it going to be easy, how much time and how many servings it provides. So that actually varies by meal. And this is basically what the app looks like right now. So I think from a homepage perspective, if we go back out here to our design, we can go ahead and match this up a little bit. So we have a nice title up here of like recipes. This could, change potentially to something like featured, because I think it's pretty clear that these are all recipes within this app if we're building a recipe app. But that's besides the point. We have a title up there. We have this carousel item that is currently automatically scrolling through. It can be turned off as well if desired, but essentially we can also move through it. We can use this to navigate, so it is really customizable. Then further down below, we have this popular section, which I said I'll put in as a scrolling list, and there we go. That is also there. If we take a look, we have the image like we do here. Then we have the name of the meal, as well as a short description and whether or not it was, how difficult it is to make, because we are not close to a restaurant. The distance didn't make sense, but instead I tossed in the time of how long it takes to prepare it, as well as how many servings it will provide, because we already tossed in the minutes. So where does that bring us now? So basically what we still have left is none of this is currently clickable. So I want all of these items to be basically clickable, and I want all of these cards here to be clickable as well, so that we can then actually jump into the recipe. And this is sort of that layout that we're trying to shoot for. We want to have a image on top, and then want to be able to scroll basically this up, and so that we can read the full recipe. That means we will have the title again, sort of the same layout that we had here, then probably like a list of ingredients, and further down below we have the actual preparation steps. So that is the last piece to implement, that last screen, and then I'll probably just start out again with some mock demo and have the images up here, as well as maybe some sample down here, just to get a rough feel of what that will look like. So I will take care of that, and I'll talk to you in a couple of seconds. Ready to see where we're going? Let's get into it. So right now, this is the home view. We have seen this earlier. Like I said millions of times by now, you can slide and up, down, and here's the carousel. So we can click into the recipe right now, and this is sort of the recipe view, and you can get a sense and feel for it. It's not going to be 100% of what was laid out here, but we're getting close at least. You can see that we have an image up top here. That's the same image that was on the home view. Yes, it looks a little bit different because this is a different image than what we have here. But in general, I imagine that this would be like images that the user would upload. In our case, it's just one simple image for now. Similarly, we can go back up here, like this back button, and then go back in, and we can scroll. And when it scrolls, it gives us a short, nice animation of this exiting. And then we can scroll through the list where we would see the recipe actually. And then it comes in and out, sort of this. This was actually a fun item to implement because this is a simple object that's already custom built within Flutter itself, and it's this custom scroll view, which contains then the silver app bar. So basically what we're seeing up here is just an app bar, and then if we go out further, then we have the list, which is actually the bottom content here. Now it's also possible to make it that when we scroll up, to get this piece back down here, even if we scroll up from the bottom of the list, so user doesn't have to go all the way up. And to do that, we just need to set one simple item within our list here, which was floating to true. And then this becomes a floating action bar basically. So then when we go further down, you can see user doesn't have to scroll up, it's coming back in. Didn't make a lot of sense for our use case here, so I removed it, and it requires us to scroll up and down. I'm imagining it won't be as scrollable, but yeah, we're getting close. I think the last couple of pieces here to implement, if we take a quick peek, is really the name on the item, pass in these items again, as well as I had said the not the introduction here, but rather have the ingredients as well as the instructions on how to prepare the meal. So that's the last piece that needs implementation, and then I think we're good to wrap up here. So let me do that real quick, and I will talk to you shortly. And the app is done. Let's review. So up here we can see we have this carousel slider, which actually advances automatically. I thought it was nice to see it advance automatically. You can take that out as well as a simple Boolean value there. But essentially we can navigate through this, taking a look at the recipes that are within the app. You can also click these buttons down here and then kind of have this navigate automatically. You can also scroll down to see popular items. Down here we get the menu kind of name, we see also the image, we get a little description, as well as get a feel of how easy, how time consuming, and how many servings this particular item provides. So if I go through this up here and I find a nice menu, let's say I want grilled pizza, I can click on it, and immediately I can see, same stuff basically, grilled pizza, then, how difficult, how much time I should plan to use, and how many servings. As the next step, I do see the ingredients. This list is rather large, so it probably would make sense if we were to continue on this app to truncate it after a view and have an expandable menu here. But at the bottom, we can see all of the steps and directions that need to be taken. So that's all available down there. Here we can go back to the previous item, and just to show down here, let's say we take the pork chops, and we can click into these as well. And again, same thing, we see the name, the difficulty, how much time to plan for, and how many servings, the ingredients again, and then also the directions that need to be followed. And that's basically a simple recipe app. So if you are curious or want to continue on this project, the link to the code is in the description below. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.